Tonight's special guest is Barry Holland. Barry is here tonight to celebrate 43 years with Newstalk 1ZB. We welcome Barry Holland as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. Barry Holland.
Gerard.
Welcome to The Beat Goes On.
Thank you. Nice to be here, actually.
43 years at Newstalk 1ZB. That's... Where's the gold watch, Barry?
Well, that's right. You don't get a gold watch these days. I did think about that when I first started. Gee, where's that gold watch? I wonder if I get one of those. I do remember times when I saw some of the older people going from the station and get their gold watch. So, yeah, you do think about that, but not lately. It's all changed.
Let's talk about the changes.
I came in at what was quite an exciting time because I think about the year after I started the year after I started in radio, this is going back 49 years, they changed from the NZBS, so that was the government-run outfit, to the NZBC. We all got highly excited, thinking this was a new era and it's going to be absolutely marvellous. But even though it was sort of like an SOE for the government, well, there were some changes, but nothing terribly radical. And then later on it came to Radio New Zealand, but that was further on down the track. But when I came back and started this 43-year stint after starting announcing in Australia, well, that was an exciting time in radio because I came back essentially, first of all, to work on Radio Hauraki. And then Radio I, as you know, I think it's now called Easy Mix. They invited me to go to there. So with each little hop, you got a bit more money, which I was very excited about.
But Barry, in those days you were spinning those wonderful little things called 45s.
Well, yes.
We spun 45s, didn't we?
You spun 45s, that's right. That's
and so you were you a music jock in those early days?
Yes, I was.
You finished up as a sports jock and a news reading jock, didn't you?
That's right, yes.
But
trying to get myself longevity, Gerard.
Now, Barry, before we talk about other aspects of broadcasting, you being a sports announcer as well, wasn't that a great cricket win? Oh, was that exciting?
Love it, yes. And I was one of the ones that said these black caps, you know.
Yeah, they got to be.
And, you know, criticising them and that sort of thing. And not knowing half what they know and what it's like. And you're playing Australia. Let's face it, you're playing Australia.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's only a one-off, but it was a one-off win in Australia, breaking that drought that goes right back to the 80s. The 90s, if you want to, for the last time we won, but in Australia itself. It really is something for that to happen. I mean, we're number 8 in the world in Test rankings.
And we beat the number...
And we beat them.
Number two.
Number two in the world.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way, they're up the top, we're down the bottom. And that's humiliating for them to lose.
Now, Barry,
it's still only a one-off. What we want is consistency.
Barry, we're here to talk about Barry Holland, but we're talking about cricket. A little bit of history about Barry. Where were you born? Are you a classic baby boomer?
If you want to be perfectly correct, I'm just before the baby boomers. 1944.
1944.
In Taumarunui, on the main trunk line.
What do you remember about Taumarunui?
Oh, it's a great little town. What I remember about it was a great railway town. But my paternal grandparents were railway people. My grandfather actually got to the stage where he drove the express between Frankton and Taihape, for instance. You know.
Now that would have been big time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think you'd call it first locomotive engineer or something. That's a real top, but you can only get there when you're just about ready to retire.
That's the equivalent of being a 747 pilot today, isn't it?
Well, like that, yes. Yes, that's right. Oh, yes, a lot of training. But even now, today, to become a loco driver, and especially when on a passenger train anyway, there's still a heck of a lot of training comes in there. So it's quite a while before you can actually get to that position.
Now, what age were you, Barry, when you thought, I'd love to be a radio announcer?
When I got into broadcasting.
Oh.
See, when I was at Mount Albert Grammar School, I went to Mount Albert Grammar, the school, and they weren't the first 15 champions this year, but it doesn't matter, this next year coming up. But they were years before that, the previous years. However, when I was there, they had, at the back of their assembly hall, they had a mezzanine floor, and up the back there, up another lot of stairs, was a radio shack. And, you know, the XL1 blah, blah, blah number, you had your own number there. And I used to go in there with a bunch of other guys and we'd be calling people around the world, you know. And that was the way things worked there. And there's still people do that, talking on the radio, coming over and all this sort of stuff. And I loved it, you see. So when the careers officer came around and I was still thinking, what the heck am I going to do? I thought, well, I'll try broadcasting. So we'll go into the broadcasting studio and have a look in there as a technical person. And then I also went to the Navy, I think it was, and had a look at the technical things there. And anyway, I ended up going away on holiday that Christmas and my mother ringing up and saying, well, you've got a job at broadcasting if you want to go there to the NZBS. So I thought, well, yeah, why not? So when I went there as a technical person, got a couple of papers, but it was there that my interest in being on the other side of the microphone was kindled, because you know, I like a bit of talking. I'm a bit of an extrovert, you know, and I thought, this is me. But when I got with Merv, him and I hit it off, and he encouraged me to do little things on the air, just little things like that. In fact, we did a couple of live shows together where I had a couple of one-liners. I think I pulled them off, you know. So I'm really interested by now, and I was there 3 years, had a great time on the technical side, but then wanted to go and on the other side of the microphone.
1ZB, or that environment, that's been your life, hasn't it? That
has broadcasting life. That's right.
So it's,
apart from my stints on TV, I did, you know.
You were the face of Countrywide.
That's right, Countrywide Bank. Yes, formerly the Countrywide Building Society, and I got a contract to be the front person for them. And those were the days when we had the high interest rates. You know, the inflation was unbelievable.
18%,
18% or even more, and they would change day to day. So when you went and did an ad, you had to do a whole lot of different interest rates. So you go through the ad with one interest rate, 19%, and 19.25%, you know, 19.5%, that sort of thing. On and on it went, you know. But fascinating days. They were good to do.
Now, you were there the day, of course, at 1ZB was a station that played music. Then they decided News Talk, Talkback was the thing. Were you happy with that, Barry? Of course, you couldn't say anything about it, but
was I happy at the time about it?
You thrived in that environment?
No, I wasn't a great fan of it when it came in. You know, it was when you look back now.
Paul Holmes had a very difficult job in those first 9 months.
The first year was terrible for him, just terrible for him. Ratings went down for the first time. Usually, somebody would talk to you about something that happened on 1ZB. We're back, 87 now we're talking, and usually somebody would talk. Well, nobody talked about anything. All the listeners just disappeared. And it took a whole year until the survey near the end of the year came out, and it showed that we'd stopped the rot.
Yeah.
The right thing probably weren't that many left for any more rot, but we'd stopped the rot, you see, and Paul had got his show on television, so that then changed things from there. And we didn't take long to get back to that #1 position again.
Now, speaking of recovering, will ZB recover with you leaving them as a full-time sports announcer? Will they recover, Barry?
No one's irreplaceable.
So what is the foreseeable future now for Barry Holland?
Well, the foreseeable future is just to take stock of myself and get my head together around all this. I'm not sad that it's happened. I've gone out on a high note, and there are plenty of other opportunities out there. Now, for one, I haven't finished with NewstalkZB because I have been doing for the last couple of years coaching of the new talent, the vocal coaching of the new talent, you see. And I love that. You're working with younger people.
Now, looking back, a nutshell of the life of Barry Holland, you wouldn't change it for anything? Or?
No.
Yeah, you're
No,
happy.
I wouldn't change it. No regrets. No. I'll miss some aspects of it, surely day to day, because I mean, intellectually, working in the newsroom like I have been for the past couple of years in the morning, I mean, it's really stimulating stuff, you know. And that keeps the old brain working. You've got to keep that brain working. So I'm happy to do those sort of things. I have my tours, which I take away every year. I've enjoyed those the last 10 years. Had lots of people come with me again and again, different parts of the world. I like to do some volunteer work, particularly with disability support because of the polio I had when I was younger. But anything like that, I'm happy to be involved in.
Just before we do finish, I hear young parents say that they're not going to give their children a vaccination for polio. You had polio.
Yes.
What do you feel or think when you hear that?
You must have the vaccination.
Yeah. They've forgotten how fearful it was, haven't they?
Absolutely. I mean, when I contracted it, it was 48, I think, 48, that was the epidemic time. They closed the schools down. And it was just terrible. And I think overall I got off pretty lightly, he says guardedly, because there were some terrible sights. So those lung machines they had,
iron
put
lungs,
the young children in iron lungs. So having seen all that, having experienced it all, and then having experienced, or as I am now, experiencing the late effects of polio, it comes back to hit you later. Yes, you must have the vaccine. But look, people have their reasons for why they don't want to do it. I would say that having the vaccination is the way to go.
And just before we say happy Christmas and goodbye, your feelings on winning the World Cup?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
You wait all that time.
You waited
all those years.
Yeah.
I was there in the grandstand at the very first one. And what always niggled me was South Africa wasn't there at that first one.
That's right, yeah.
And I always thought that's not quite right. It didn't feel right this time. We've done it.
Yeah.
And we did it by that tremendous defence in that last game.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, it was great. It was
I couldn't
really
watch it,
great.
Barry. I couldn't watch it.
Well, you know, there are times when you watch a close game like that and you think, oh, we're not going to do this. And the referee will blow the whistle and, oh, goodness me, we're all on the edge of our seats. You know, but we got it. We got it. Read the papers. It's ours.
Barry Holland, I'm going to wish you a happy Christmas and a wonderful life.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Barry.